And welcome again to Cottage Talk. This is another episode of View from the Hammersmith End, where we have Kamal and Alex joining us from the Hammersmith End. And we have the brother I like to call the better brother. I'm sorry, just kidding, Kamal. We have Suhail joining us from Canada, and I'm joining from America. So we're all over the place. And what we're going to do on this episode is we're going to be discussing the week that was for Fulham Football Club. 3 matches, the last 8 days of Craven Cottage, I'm calling it right now. So we're going to go through that. We're going to break down each one of those matches and just share our views of what the guys watched at Craven Cottage in the Hammersmith End and what Sue, Hale, and I watched as well. Before we go on any further, just want to mention, shout out to Matt Wall, who cannot be with us today. He'll be back soon for another episode. He just was not available today. We miss you, Matt, and hopefully you can join us again soon. I also want to give a shout out to Karen Johnson. Me and Tony did a preview episode of what we were talking about the last. I shouldn't say we did a preview episode, but in the post-match show, when Tony and I were breaking down the West Ham match, Karen was commenting about how much the FA Cup match meant to her and how she wanted to get to Wembley. And Karen, I'm very sorry for you and the other supporters that dream has not come through for this year. Hopefully next year that can happen. And I really hope that someday, soon, you can be watching Fulham Football Club like you did in 1975 at Wembley once again in the FA Cup. That's my hope. So I just want to give you a shout out, and I feel bad for you and everyone else. We're going to talk about that. But I first want to just talk about in general the last 8 days and get the emotions of my co-hosts here. So first, Kamal, I'll go to you. And then I'll go to Alex. So we have a victory, a loss to West Ham, victory against Tottenham, and of course what happened today in the FA Cup against Southampton. What do you make of this week for Fulham?
Well, I mean, I thought when you and Tony, big Tony Gold, the big sharpshooter, a few days ago, you called after the West Ham, you called it Jekyll and Hyde. I think you can call this good, bad, and the ugly. It's been absolutely shocking. But I've been trying to pick since early today. I've been trying to pick my head, try and pick out some positives, which there are some if you think about it. But just starting on such a high at the beginning of this week, having a lot of fun, seeing Tudor on the sideline protesting every single goal, which was it's like the best kind of. It was like pure comedy. And then, it kind of went the other way for us, against the Hammers. And I mean, both of the matches, we kind of dominated play and we had a lot of attempts, but nothing in the last third. And I think that, I don't know what my brother and Alex will say, but I always feel that Fulham are better when they play against counter-attacking teams. And when we're playing against defensive teams, we just get unstopped. We get stuck in the beehive that the penalty box comes. But yeah, I've been very sad this week.
Yeah, it's been a hard week because when you look at the hope, and Tony Gold always says, Kamal, it's the hope that kills you, right? And I think he's very right this week because it's my hope was high. And I'm going to say right now, we're going to do this show, and I actually tweeted this out after the match. I'm not giving up on the season. I'm not giving up on Europe. That's just how I roll. I still think that there's a possibility. I'm not giving up on it. But this was a serious blow. That West Ham match was a serious blow after a high of beating Tottenham Hotspur. And then, of course, we have what happened today. We're going to go through all of it. Alex, how are you feeling?
Well, you know me, Russ. I'm a pretty glasses half full kind of guy. But I'm struggling. I'm struggling to feel any sense of hope for the rest of the season after today. I mean, the only thing that I can kind of take some solace in was, we'll start the week with a game against Tottenham. And there's no doubt it would be worse if we were Tottenham fans, right? I mean, life is much more bleak for them. So that's the one thing you will say. Things could be worse. But given given how the week started and all the positivity and possibility that seemed like it lay in store for us, I was dreaming of Wembley outings and the like. I just feel very let down. I feel like it's been the worst week of the season.
So what do you make of what Kamal brought to the table? Before I go to Suhail, I think it's interesting that he brings this up, and I would tend to agree with what he said. Fulham are a better counterattacking team. That's who they are. That's what they're better at. And when they go up against teams that are counterattacking them, like today, they looked not able to handle that whatsoever. I could also say a team that made it difficult on them, you guys watch, we'll talk about the West Ham match. Again, different style of match. When Fulham are, we would call the underdogs to win the match, I think that's where they thrive, Alex. It's when you put them as the favorite where I think they struggle. I think it's almost as simplistic as that.
Well, the thing I would say about that is you could broaden that out. And I feel that maybe there is a kind of Marco Silva ceiling. And it just feels to me that we don't seem to go on a big streaky run of 4, 5, 6 wins. A couple of wins back to back feels like a big achievement. And likewise, every time over the last few seasons where I've thought, oh, we're in a bit of trouble here, we get a big result, you know. And I feel it's not just about the kind of opposition we're playing. I just feel that we just never put something spectacular together, and we're always get ourselves out of jail if it starts to look a bit dodgy. And I don't know. I mean, maybe we should be grateful because we're secure, we're solid, we're competitive all the time. But again, for the first time, I'm feeling a little bit like we're just going nowhere. And so it's not just about, you know, whether we're playing defensive teams and games we should win. It's whoever we're playing. I just feel that we can't put a really good run together. We can't do something like get to a cup final. And yeah, it's just a bit sad.
It is. I totally agree with you. And Suhail, I'm going to go to you. Your brother actually, I think, coined it perfectly because I said on the last episode with Tony, the post-match show, I said, call it Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I got that actually from your brother. Now your brother does it again by calling it the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think that fits perfectly for these 3 matches.
We used to love that movie when we were kids.
Yeah, we do.
Well, there you go.
Talk about it a lot. The music.
You could tell he's a filmmaker. You could tell. Anyways, over to you, Suhail. What do you make of this weekend? I wanted to throw into our conversation what your brother said about the opponents. I could also say it's the players, it's Marco, it's a combination of it all that Fulham are, the best way I can describe it, consistently inconsistent.
So my feelings of this week, they started off with a feeling that, we're going to Europe and we're going to get to maybe the semis, maybe the final of the FA Cup. They ended today with me thinking, and this is a big one for me, I don't care if Marco Silva stays or goes anymore. I don't care. I don't see him. Like before, I thought it'd be a tragedy if he left. Now I'm quite indifferent to him going because I take my brother's point about the fact that, you know, we may play better against a team that we may play better against a team that comes at us and we counterattack. But this week is not a good example of why that was the reason we came undone. We came undone for one reason: Marco Silva.
Okay.
His tampering with the team on Wednesday, and then his putting out the second string today in a game where we had nothing to, we're not going to be relegated. European football's looking a little bit dodgy. There was nothing wrong with putting out the first string team today and going for a 5-0 win against a championship side, which would have set us up for a high. Didn't happen. And so my feeling from last week to this week is I don't care if Marco stays or goes now. Let's get on with this.
Okay, interesting. And I just want to say this because the lead up to the match I was watching on ESPN, they were talking about the different approaches from both managers, and one manager put out a very strong side. I think there's only maybe a couple changes,
Three changes, apparently.
Three changes compared to what Marco did. And I looked at the lineup and I thought it was good enough to win. So I don't want to give Fulham a free pass on that. I don't want to put that all on Marco. And we'll talk about at the end of the show, the last 20 minutes, we'll get into the ugly, because that today was ugly, guys. But I do want to start with the good. I think we should start with the good. Like I should really change the name to the good, the bad, and the ugly. So thank you for that, Kamal. Let's go back a little ways, and let's go back to last Sunday. And let's talk about the Tottenham victory. Alex, I'll go to you first, because I think it's easy now to look back at what's happened since then and say, well, this is about Fulham playing against a poor Tottenham side, a disjointed Tottenham side, all of that. But I think if we do that, we're not giving enough credit to what you guys watched at Craven Cottage. I thought Fulham were phenomenal. Maybe that's too strong against Tottenham, but I thought they were great. You were there. Give me your overall thoughts on the Tottenham victory.
So yeah, it was. There were lots of incredibly strong positives in that game. I honestly think we should have won 4 or 5-0. The goals were sublime. You know, the Wilson volley's lovely. That finish by Iwobi is insane. Like, anybody who's played the game know that the ball is curling the wrong way in that shot. Like, he's hit it as if it's the outside of his foot, but it's the inside. It's an incredible technique. But, you know, and I don't want to bring the negatives in too quickly, but I was sat there at about 60 minutes of that game gone. And we'd, you know, in the second half, ESR had missed 2 big chances. There'd been a couple of others. Raul had one blocked. And I was thinking to myself, because Spurs were so out of the game, they were just not in the game at all. And I said, if you keep missing these chances in the Premier League, you're going to concede a goal out of nothing, and this game is going to be suddenly on the line. And it's exactly what happened. And luckily for us, Spurs were so incompetent that despite getting that goal, they didn't have, you know, the cajones to kind of push on from there. But they still had a couple of chances right at the end. Obviously, Paulinho almost ruined everybody's day. So I think all the warning signs were there about what followed in the following weeks. We were profligate in front of goal, and you can't afford to be. You've got to put teams to the sword when you've got the opportunity. And you know, we played some glorious stuff in that game. But for me, the kind of the issues that we've seen in the 2 games following were already there, and that's especially the second half of that second half. We were too passive. We weren't determined enough to finish chances. We weren't greedy enough in front of goal, and we didn't have that sense of a kind of clinical determination to put a team to bed. And and I think that stayed with us. So we've had 2.5 games of that, really, which is a big worry.
It's interesting that you say that, because that's going to lead into when we talk about the next 2 matches, especially the one today. I think your points are very noticeable, and I actually agree with a lot that you said. I know you don't want to bring the negative, but it actually will maybe give us a little clarity on what we saw later on in the week, because if you really look at it, we're thrilled with the victory, but the warning signs were there. That's actually a great way to look at it. I'm glad that you said that, Alex. I know that you're glass half full like me, but you also can criticize, and that's what we do. We don't just prop up the team. We're going to criticize them. We're going to be honest. That's why I love doing the show with you guys. Kamal, over to you. I want to get your thoughts on the Tottenham victory. I'm glad that Alex mentioned this, because you guys were watching it together, and I agree with Alex. I'm wondering if you feel the same way. Do you feel that this should have been more of a one-sided affair?
Well, I mean, I'm not. And the other thing is, I was like my brother, super angry. My brother, it seems like he's steaming at the moment, and I can see the steam coming off his head in his beautiful camera.
Yeah, I can see it too.
And I thought, the one thing, because it's like the 3 matches together, they help bring a lot of focus about what the problems are with Fulham. And I didn't think they completely dominated. I thought the second half was more of a Spurs match, and Fulham did what they always do. Even in the match that was played, really well, we had some really striking shots on target. And, I agree that, was it Josh King? And at the end of the first time, we should have been 3-0 up. But, Spurs were allowed back in, and Fulham have a habit of, at the end of games, making life difficult for themselves. They always invite pressure. Maybe it's tiredness or something. And I was looking at the players that we have, and the players that we've lost. And the Fulham, everybody knows my favourite, player was Crazy Mitro, and we loved him. And I also think, I was really seething about Marco today, but I think Marco hasn't got a full hand. He's not got the same players he had, and he's got team play. He has a system and a pattern. And the problem he has, he doesn't have any chaos players or players which are which break out of the mold. Right. And he's shooting always from the wings, and wing, cross, pass, goal. And the goals that have scored against us by West Ham, by Tottenham, by Southampton today are straight through the centre. And the 2 goals that we scored against Spurs, look at them back, they weren't crosses. They weren't the Jedi specials, Right. And it means a lot to me when we don't always play in the same way, which makes us so predictable.
I was about to ask you that question, come right back to you, because what you are describing is a predictable team. Come on.
I don't think it's my choice, because I was looking at, there are a few players that we could purchase or try to go, which we have been going for, which Marco has been going for. I made a list of their names. I'll come back to them in a second. Okay. That could actually change the substance of the team. And if, that Wilson's injury suddenly shows the imbalance we have on the right side, and everybody knows that we play on the left side. And if we could, release Iwobi a bit more, it would be better. I think he's playing too far off on the wing when he should be playing in the centre. And I wish if Matt was there, he'd be giving us a Wikipedia breakdown of all of that.
Yeah, of course he would.
He'd also be pointing out that the chance at just before half-time was Calvin Bassey, and it was King against West Ham just before half-time.
Oh, yes.
No, he would definitely go there. I'm glad that you said that, Alex. Matt, if you're listening, you are here in spirit.
Yeah.
No, very good. I want to go over to you now, Suhail. So what's interesting, listening to the guys that were there, you and I are watching it from a distance, I still feel good about the victory. But the more we talk about this a week later, I'm starting to understand why Alex has this, what we call a yeah, but moment, meaning, well, they won, yeah, but, and there is some warning signs there that now have, I think, played out in the last 2 matches. The chances, and what your brother said too, Suhail, Fulham, I actually think, are very predictable. So if you have a good manager, right? If you have a manager that does his homework, I think the manager today did his homework very well. He knew exactly how to hurt Fulham. You saw that on the counter, right? So if you have someone that knows the weaknesses and you take advantage of them, you can hurt Fulham, because Fulham basically play, I think, in one way, Marco's way, we'll call it, right? Down the wings, crosses into the box. It's very predictable. When it works, it looks great. But when someone figures it out, not so great. But in this match, I think I'm so happy that they got the victory, but it should have been a bigger victory.
Yeah.
So
I don't share the sort of thoughts of Alex's thoughts to that extent that the warning signs were there. What worried me about the Tottenham game was it reminded me a bit of the Everton game at home, where we were having all these chances and we weren't putting them away. And that's what I was thinking. Is this going to be another Everton game where we collapse in the second? But we didn't. We didn't collapse. We actually played okay. We played quite well. What really did us in was we gave away a really silly goal to Richarlison. I think it was Sessegnon out of position. Chaz, I hope you're taking the night Riviera back to Penzance so you can sleep on the train and wake up tomorrow and pretend it was a bad dream. But I was really happy after the Tottenham game. I thought we did some really good things. Yeah. We made one silly defensive error. Alex is right. It was heart in the mouth moment when Palhinha got the last kick of the game.
Oh, can you imagine
and he hits that shot? And I can't remember who it was who flung himself in the way. But I just thought that really would have been the irony of ironies. Palhinha comes back and does that to us at the end. But no, I thought it was a good performance. I don't think the negatives that went from there actually are what affected us in West Ham and today's game. I think they were down to something else. I told you this already, Russ.
Yep.
They were down to what Marco did with the completely unnecessary changes. That's what killed us.
Okay. Just on the Palhinha thing, couple of points on the Palhinha thing. So
go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
So one, I saw Sessegnon being interviewed after the Spurs game. They get a player to talk in the Hammersmith end and do a little and the guy asked him, "Do you think he would have celebrated if he'd scored that goal?" And I would have thought Sessegnon would have just said, "Of course not. He loves Fulham." But he said he's a really passionate guy and he doesn't think he could have helped himself. But the other thing was, just after that, Paulinho, despite missing that last, or not really missing it, but getting that chance blocked, he came straight to the Fulham fan and was
glad you're saying this.
longer than any other, giving it the heart emoji, the whole thing.
Yeah, we saw it.
And when you consider how absolutely abject Berger was in the first half against West Ham, I thought it was one of the worst performances that any Fulham players had in this season in that first half. I mean, Lukic against Man City was worse, but I mean, it was terrible, absolutely useless. I can't help wishing that Paulinho would come back and replace Berger.
But they were great images, though, that showed up on social media. And if I was a Spurs fan, I'd be seething after that result. And then seeing Paulinho come up and giving the heart sign, and it was actually quite. You can imagine if that happened with us, we'd be absolutely. We wanted to kill the
He did play well for them, though. He was one of the few players that showed any fight in that game. He was still throwing himself about. He does not play on that Craven Cottage pitch.
He's coming back this summer. I've got a feeling in my bones. He's coming back.
Alex, being there, you and Kamal, do you feel that he might feel like he made a mistake by not coming to Fulham? I mean, why would he come to you guys and do this?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I completely understand. Like he was so good for us, right? It must be. When you're playing that well in the Premier League, the elite league in the world, you have to believe. And he was the best midfielder, one of the best holding midfielders in the league under Fulham, the most tackles, all of that kind of stuff. So I can completely understand why he wanted to go to Munich and kind of believe that he was at that elite level. But I think given what happened, I've got no doubt he kind of looks back on it and says, if I'd carried on in that Fulham shirt, I'd be having just the best time, So
and so would we. We'd be. We would even be contending for Europe. Made it last year. That's the big tragedy of it all.
And I hope Wilson is kind of just thinking about that lesson. He's not even going to Munich. He's going to go to, I don't know, Villa or Everton or something. It's like, if you're having a great time in a Fulham shirt, stay,
So Alex, the only thing I will add about Harry Wilson, and we'll talk about him because we're going to be talking about the next two matches, and obviously his name will come up because he was not available. I will tell you here, there is going to be a massive push because I can see it from America to get Harry Wilson to Wrexham. Make him basically make him build it all around him.
It can only
Welsh hero. I'm just saying
it can only happen to get promoted, though. There's no way he's going to go and, he's been one of the best players in the Premier League this season. He would be insane to go back and play in the Championship. So, I mean, Wrexham, they might just get in the playoffs, but I think it's very unlikely they're going to get promoted this season. So I'm not too worried about that.
Okay, I'm just telling you, they are seriously over here.
I believe it. Yeah,
there's so much talk about getting Harry Wilson. I'm telling you.
Anyways, I get it. If they come up, I can see them throwing everything at it.
Okay, Kamal, right back to you.
He'll be in Deadpool 3. That's right.
Exactly. Kamal, before we go on to the West Ham, I want to get your thoughts about Paulinho and the way he acted after the match was over.
I've always said that he was my favorite player. He was the one I liked, and even seeing him, come on the pitch for Spurs, kind of made me cry a little bit. It melted my heart. I love the guy. And let's not remember, I think one of you guys was talking to me a few weeks ago, that he comes back to Spurs and within, like the second match that we've got at the Cottage, he's there watching the game.
That's crazy.
With his new little, his mature goatee, so he's grown up a bit, but not a little boy anymore. But, it's a big thing. He's got a strong rapport. It's probably the club he verified his reputation on, increased his value. Yep. And everything else has been like a lowdown. And also, someone's talking about Spurs, he may be the best player. I suppose he is probably statistically one of the best players of the season for Spurs. But Spurs fans don't see it that way. And I saw a poll a little while ago, and he is constantly being raked as one of their worst signings of the season.
I know.
It's crazy. I do not know why. So
that's why he's coming back.
Well, there you go, Suhail. And I would bring him back in a heartbeat, and we could talk about that on a future show. But let's move on.
Can I just say one other thing about Spurs?
Yes.
The one thing we had in the match is that So I was looking at like tactical arrangements, Fulham now and Fulham like before Mitro left and now.
Yeah.
And then we had box-to-box midfielders, but we don't depend upon that strategy anymore. It's really down the sides. And
yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
We need that strength down the middle where you get the midfielders. I mean, going back to Berger, I did point this out a few weeks ago. The guy is like losing balls while he has it. He's passing incorrectly, and he's not attacking. The only time he gets forward is when there's, a corner coming in. He can use that big, massive Dane frame.
Yeah, no, he was very bad against West Ham. We're going to talk about West Ham, and Alex is shaking his head because I know he agrees with me. He already said it. So, Kamal, very good point. I do want to move on to the bad now. We've started with the good. Now we go to the bad. We're going to finish with the ugly, which was today, unfortunately. So let's now go to the West Ham loss. And Alex, I'll go to you. You were there. So, and then I'll go to Kamal, and then I'll go to Suhail. So watching this, I had a very bad feeling before the match began. Of course, we're going to talk about this. I'm sure Suhail will bring this up and Kamal will talk about this too. The decisions that Silva made, I thought were the wrong ones. I felt very concerned. I thought it was a major gamble with that starting 11. So give me your thoughts. Let's just start there, and we'll go around the room talking about the approach with that starting 11. When you saw that, how did you feel?
So I'm just trying to remember the starting 11 of all three games. So in this game, you've got Berger and Kearney in the middle, right? So Iwobi out to the left, Chukwueze and King. I was delighted to see King starting because I think Emile Smith-Rowe has been poor. Missed two big chances against Spurs again. And he was poor again today, in my view. And he was poor against West Ham when he came on. So I wasn't disappointed with that one. Kearney, I'm never worried about when I see him on the team sheet because he's a few times this season he's been absolutely brilliant when he's played. So I wasn't too worried about that. Obviously what's missing is Wilson. As soon as I saw he was injured, is Fulham without Wilson a bit like View from the Hammersmith end without our own star player Matt Wall? Does it really work?
Well, no, there's actually a much more capable substitute here.
That's true. You're right. Actually, that's.
Well, wait a minute. We do have Suhail here, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we're playing him out of position. He's bottom left on my screen. I don't know. But,
love it.
But no, I mean, I don't think that was the issue. I think we started slowly. I think that they were a bit quicker out the blocks than we were. But again, and it's the point I made earlier about the second half of the Spurs game where we missed those chances. The second half of the first half, we started to really control that game, and we needed to score in that period. King was the closest right before half-time from the corner, but we really needed to score. And when we got to half-time 0-0, because it was before the game, I was thinking to myself, for some reason, I just had a bad feeling about, I was thinking, I don't know how we're going to lose this because I think we're better than them by a long way and we're at home and we're on a good run. But I just felt like something bad could happen here. And for me, the massive turning point in that game was the penalty we got just after halftime. I knew, watching that game, I knew there was going to be one goal in this game, right? And when we got that penalty, I thought, Raul's going to put this away, no bother. I don't think it's been talked about enough. I thought it was an insane decision to overrule that penalty. It makes no sense. About that. And for me, that's cost us. I feel like I don't want to, you can't use excuses, but I feel it's cost us the West Ham game and it cost us the Southampton game because that's the moment for me. That was the turning point in our mentality. And I think if we'd scored that goal, if we'd got that penalty, Raul would have scored and we would have gone on.
Of course he would have scored.
It was a bad decision.
Okay. Kamal, I'll go to you, and again, let's start with talking about the starting 11, but also your thoughts. And we'll definitely come back because I want to talk about some of those moments that involved the referee and VAR. So we could talk about that too. But give me your thoughts on the West Ham loss.
I want to do it. I mean, I'm always, Matt drives me mad because I think he's like scouring the internet, and like for data while he's on the show, which is, he's also known as Wallopedia sometimes. So, so I want to bring up something that can compete with him because he's absent today. And I kind of figured out, I did a little bit of homework and I realized that, when Wilson is not on the team, the creativity from that section, from the right wing is missing. And one of the things that what Wilson brings, goals, crosses, assists, but the big point is that the whole attacking structure, when he's in the team, tilts around the right side. When he's not there, we've got an unbalanced team now. I mean, what we've had recently.
Yep.
And we have, the team we have is, I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's not asymmetrical. And the left side is usually, I hope I'm making sense here. Wallo's probably going to shift on me when you see me. But we have an overlapping fullback and a direct winger and vertical runs on the left. But on the right, we have an inverted winger, who's Taft's favourite player.
Yep.
We have a creative passer and diagonal and direct shooting threat. The other thing about Wilson, we've got to remember, he's an early crosser. He doesn't wait. Where Fulham, without Wilson, are slow and ponderous, take forever to get into the box. Well, Wilson, he just, he's out of the traps. The guy is roadrunner, and
Yep.
I thought the missing link, excuse me, or what's his name, who created the theory of that, was Harry Boy.
Okay.
And, I think missing him for 2 games, and, I was talking at the beginning of the show, I don't know if I talked, that we miss those chaos players where other sides do not predict what will happen. And Mitro left, but I see Wilson as somebody that, opposition, particularly defenses, are scared of him because they don't know what he's going to do next. And then, we resorted back to,
Could I just come in on quickly a point that Kamal made there?
Yeah, go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
So another player that I actually think we really missed in the West Ham game, and this might sound crazy, but Kevin.
Yeah.
And the reason is Chukwueze kept on being given the ball one-on-one with the defender, and he did not want to try and beat him. And Kevin is brilliant. When Kevin's played really well, it's when the game is structured in a way and you just keep feeding him the ball to feet, and he just goes past the fullback time and time again and whips in the crosses. And Chukwueze, it's really interesting because I've always thought he's a brilliant dribbler, but this was a game where the structure, it was set up so he just keeps getting fed the ball, and West Ham were happy to have him do it, and he did not have a clue how to get past a fullback one-on-one, didn't know how to get to the byline. It was really became clear that what Chukwueze likes is a kind of where there's a lack of structure, where he can pick the ball up, float inside, drift, all of that kind of stuff. I think he's better off the right than off the left, actually. And basically, that game was screaming. The second half, when we were chasing the game, was screaming out for Kevin to
Kevin. Wow, we're going back to Kevin. That's interesting.
I agree with that. Can I just say one thing? Is that
go ahead.
We knock him all the time, and we knocked him particularly just before he left. But Kevin creates that confusion and chaos amongst defense. But also, Pereira did that. Now Pereira's gone.
We're going back to Pereira now.
No, he was like
that. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Are you really going to Pereira?
Well, I just think we missing that. The unpredictability.
Okay. I'm sorry. I have to do this.
No goals and no assists.
I'm sorry. That's a. If Tony Gold was here, he'd be like, "What are you talking about?" It's okay, Kamal. It's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. I want to go to the other brother. I'm not even going to say better brother because I know that makes you nuts. So I'm going to go to Suhail. So Suhail.
Yes.
I want to get your thoughts on the West Ham.
No, a lot of interesting points there. I don't. My own take on it was the West Ham game was lost with the team selection.
See, I agree with you. I agree with you.
We have been waxing lyrical about the middle of the park with Iwobi and with Berger next to him. And one of the things that happens is when you make these changes, we'll talk about it today, but you got 11 players on the pitch. You think, well, they're good enough to win. The problem is if they haven't played with each other regularly, that's what causes the issues. And Berger, you could see, was giving the ball away left, right, and center. I don't know. You don't become a bad player overnight. I just get the impression it was like he didn't quite understand where Kearney was going to be when he's got the ball. He doesn't know whether he's going to dribble, like where he's used to Iwobi next to him. I didn't understand what Marco was doing. What was he trying to foil by having Tom Kearney in that position? What problem was he trying to take care of? Why would he move Iwobi out to the left? I disagree with that. I agree with Alex on Kevin. Yeah, I agree with Alex on Kevin. Bang on Kevin. That's who we missed in that West Ham game. But I disagree on ESR. I thought ESR had a great game against West Ham. He got into those positions. Not West Ham, sorry, Tottenham. He got into the positions against Tottenham, and there was a great save by the keeper, by Vicario, on one of those chances.
I can see Alex shaking his head.
There was no reason to drop him, and I have no idea why he felt Josh King was somehow the solution against West Ham when he'd been playing ESR for all those games beforehand. That's the problem I had with it, Russ. The problem was, you don't need to change a team that's just beaten Tottenham. So keep the same team. And that's what caused the issue here. I also agree with you, Alex, on the penalty. That was a penalty. The guy runs in front of him, doesn't get to the ball. He just runs in front and prevents Kearney from kicking the ball. So how is that not a penalty? And yet, the wise men of VAR suddenly feel the need to overturn it. And I agree, if we'd scored that would have been game over for the Hammers. So.
Well, the point that I will make on that Alex has made and that you've made, Suhail, I think it changes the mentality of the players when you talk about not getting the penalty. I think I've talked about a great deal that usually their heads don't drop. I'm not saying that their heads dropped. I just think it's a setback. And I think sometimes they deal with setbacks not well, again, and I agree with it. It's a game of momentum, and not having that momentum, Alex, I agree with you. I think not getting the penalty affected them, and then everything happens after that. I want to go back to you because I know you guys are far away, but I'm sure you've seen this. What is so frustrating is that the way the match was played the way West Ham wanted it to play. That's the way I look at it. This was about two managers going head-to-head and trying to outdo each other. So Nuno makes changes, and it just took one mistake. All it took was a mistake, and it brought me back to the London Stadium with Bernd Leno. I went right back there, and that's all it took. That's all it took, Alex. That's what's so frustrating about this is that I don't think West Ham were brilliant. I just think that they played it better.
I think West Ham didn't believe they could score. That's the truth. They had a couple of chances. Souček, had a decent header that was well saved, and obviously the cross to the back post that Wilson just misses. But it felt to me they did not believe they could score a goal.
No, I agree.
And that's why I knew there was only going to be a goal in it. Because to be honest, we felt a bit like we didn't believe we were going to score either. And that's why that penalty was so important. Yeah. And it's also why it was a stupid error, annoyingly, that gave the goal away. It was brilliantly taken by Somerville after the mistake gets made, although Berger, again, I mean, what was he doing? He could not have made it any easier for him. But what was also doubly disappointing for me is that I did actually feel Leno and Bassi were two of the better performers on the night. I thought they both did well, and it was those two that contrived to give the goal away.
That was not Bassi's fault, though.
No, I agree with you. I think it was more Leno.
If you're coming out the area, the goalkeeper, you have got to get rid of the ball.
I agree.
You don't do what you did and then leave it to someone else.
The one thing I would say, though, Suhail, on that is, because it's something that happens a lot when you're kids. When you're 9 years old and you start, playing football competitively, two kids going for the ball at the same time and they both leave it to the other one, and that's one of the first things that parents start shouting at you is don't leave it to the other person. But
this wasn't that. This wasn't that. This was Leno coming out and taking the ball on his chest. And at that point, there was no one in front of him, nothing to stop him from just booting the ball.
He leaves it for he wrongly. I agree with you.
That's what I mean.
It's Leno's mistake, but he leaves it for Bassi, and Bassi leaves it for Leno. Yeah. You're right. It's Leno's fault because Leno's the one that's got momentum, and he's the one that starts with possession. So he's got to take primary responsibility. But both players, at the end of the day, should have just been, they shouldn't have been waiting for each other.
No, I totally agree with all our thoughts on this. Before we spend about 20 minutes talking about the Southampton loss, I want to go around the room with you guys and talk about how you felt after the match, because I know how I felt. I felt like it was basically just this incredible mixed missed opportunity. Alex, I'll go to you first, and then I'm going to come out, and then I'll finish up with Suhail. It just seemed to, as we've started the show, why can't they go on a run? Why can't they go on a run, Alex? That was what was driving me crazy. I thought they've turned the corner. If they beat West Ham, they turn a corner. Instead, they're stuck in neutral. I think that's the best way to put it.
100% agree. It's so frustrating. After that Spurs game, you're thinking 7th is absolutely doable. We're going to Europe, you know, and we're gonna go far in the FA Cup. You know, Port Vale have got in. You never know. We could have drawn Port Vale. We could have drawn Port Vale in the quarters, and then we'd all have a lovely day out of Wembley. And you know, there's lots of bad things we could talk about today. We could talk about the insane decision by the referee to disallow Muniz's goal. Why did he blow his whistle? You can't stop play for a player who gets a ball into his back. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. But also we can talk about...
That wasn't the reason, though.
Oh, right.
I'll tell you what the reason is now he's saying the goalkeeper hadn't got his permission to take the goal kick. He had to wait for him to, because you didn't see it from on TV, but we did, Russ. There's a shot of him going up to the keeper and pointing to the whistle, saying, you know, you have to wait for a moment. We'll talk about it in a minute, but that was the reason. Yeah.
But again, it's equally stupid decision because whose advantage does it go in? It's madness. But also 15 corners today. Somebody else has mentioned it, Benjamin. 7 corners against West Ham, 24 shots today, 5 on target, 15 shots against West Ham. That's 39 shots without scoring a goal. That is ridiculous. And we, you know, you have to, the profligacy here is an important thing. And to me, it's just too casual in front of goal, not enough excitement to be scoring. It's just like that's really cost us. The subs were on too late as well. We can complain about that. But really, you know, in both these games, we've been profligate. We've wasted. You can't have that many corners and not score any goals. And it's been all season long. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And we look so fragile in corners as well. You know, it's like at least do the decency of threatening them from a corner every now and then. It's so annoying.
No, I agree with that, Alex. Kamal, what were you thinking after the match? And then I'll go to you, brother.
Well, it's just, I mean, I want to say some bad words, but I can't. I know that you got a family audience here.
Well, I do.
We got the kid here. We got Mr. Thomas and the judge. I've got to watch my language.
Well, you do, yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know, the real problem with our team is system. Come out, they play the same game every time, and what I've seen, I know you didn't like Pereira, but I stick by that. We've been getting rid of our creative players for the last 3 years. We've been getting rid of our unusual and unique players, including Kevin. But Kevin needs to play some more games. You know, dribbling isn't everything. But, you know, both West Ham and Southampton, both sides were so well equipped. They had very small amount of possession, yet they dealt so adequately with any of the strikes going forward. And, you know, today, I think we really miss Raul because Raul is a striker, but he's turned into
comes on at the very end.
Player. Yeah, like why put him on? It's just like after the first goal, the goal went in. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So and also Berger. I mean, honestly, I remember we used to go crazy about him, and Sasha. Even though Sasha can have good games, but we had no aggressive pushing mentality. But on one side, I will say, I mean, the one thing that kept occurring to me was, you know, what do Fulham need? And I'm not sure it's Marco going away because he's built this team, but he hasn't been given players. I mean, he seems to like players just fit in with this, you know, stability system side, which works against some teams, some big teams. But when you get the smaller teams that defend deep and put like 9 people in the area, I mean, you can have, you know, one of the things they're trying to do now in the Premier League, they're looking at is how many goals, 27% of goals outside of penalties have been scored from set pieces. And this thing is boring within the Premier League. You know, they want to bring back, you know, the aggressive strike forces of the 90s. And we don't have any aggressive box-to-box midfielders now. We just have people who want to pass to the side, want to win corner. I mean, this is what I'm angry at, but I'm also seeing it from Marco's. You know, Marco can only play with what he's given, but he made some very bad decisions today.
Well, he did, and we're going to talk about that. I want to spend the end of the show talking about, but before we do, Kamal, thank you for your thoughts. I want to go to your brother.
Sorry about Pereira. I'm so sorry.
No, you can mention Pereira, but if you mention it again, I'm gonging you again. Okay, I'm going to do it. Okay. Over to you, Suhail. After the match, I felt deflated. Yeah. Is that how you felt?
No, I felt angry. I was really angry at Marco Silva. Really, really angry, thinking this was a completely unnecessary result. In fact, you know how bad I felt, Russ? I haven't been in court this week because it's what they call a judgment writing week. I thought, if Goldman calls me because he wants to do a rough and the smooth, I'm going to have to figure a way of getting out of it. That's how bad it was. I just was so gutted. I texted you. I texted you afterwards.
I know you did.
Yeah, and that's how bad I felt. I'm going to the City Ground next weekend. I'm in England. I'm going to the City Ground. Oh. I thought I'd be going there thinking we've won 4 in a row.
That's what I thought.
We're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Can't wait. Now I'm going there thinking, why the hell did I buy a ticket? Anyway, we'll see how it goes. But that's how bad. I was just angry after that West Ham game. Really angry. So.
I get it. I totally get it, Suhail, because like I said, deflated, angry. I could say I was angry too. Just disappointed, I think, is the best word to describe it. All right. Let's talk about today, guys. Well, and we're talking about today, which is so disappointing. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, when Tony and I were doing our post-match show after the West Ham match, Karen Johnson was commenting about how important this was to her. And it got me to thinking, and actually I was thinking about it throughout the show, throughout the last few days, how important this was for not just her, but so many people to get back to Wembley, to see Fulham back in the FA Cup. Obviously, I was at the playoff final. We've been at Wembley since, but the FA Cup is a huge deal. And how I would like to see people, Fulham supporters, get back there. So that's why I was hoping so hard for this victory to get us a step closer. And of course, it wasn't to be. So I'll go to you, Alex. Let's talk about this. Let's start. I think the best way to start with has to be the decision when you saw the starting 11. Now, I looked at it and I thought it's a strong team. I'm thinking to myself, but I'm also thinking maybe he should have went with his best team. I was split. I was like, well, I can understand this. I can live with this. But then I saw the Southampton team. And then it dawned on me. One is taking this approach, really strong side. And they're fighting to try to get back to the Premier League. And they're putting out an extremely strong side against Fulham. And you have Marco Silva basically putting not a second starting 11, but not his strongest side. What did you make of that decision?
So I think one of the things that, so I agree with a lot of the criticisms about Marco today, and I definitely think the subs are wrong. But the one thing I'd say about that starting lineup is you can overemphasize how much that is a second string team. I'm not convinced it is. Who is our strongest back four at the moment? Probably Sessegnon is better than Robinson when it comes to form. Yeah. Anderson for me is starting. If he's fit, he's it's him and Bassi at centre back. So you've got 2 out the 4, and I don't know. And with Berger being absolutely useless against West Ham, I don't know where Lukic is with his fitness. I would have started Iwobi, the form he's been on, but he's playing a lot, right? So I would have started Iwobi. For me, King over ESR is the way to go, personally. And then obviously you haven't got Wilson; he's not an option. And right. Muniz, Raul. Again, we've been flogging Raul. How old is he? 34. We've been flogging him. I do think Raul had to come on earlier today, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to give Muniz a run.
Okay,
I thought he did okay, but he missed chances. He doesn't look quite fresh enough. So I don't know, because I think that team, like you say, it's strong enough. It's not clearly a second string team. The only one
it's not
definitely Leno. Obviously, and Iwobi would be definitely starting. But those are the 2. But I think you can over dramatize that it was second string, because I'm not sure it was.
Okay, fair enough. Kamal, what were you thinking when you saw the starting 11?
Well, I refer actually just quickly. Hello to Karen, because she's great. I really love her comments, and she's so passionate. And She loves one of our heroes, John Mitchell, 75. My brother used to rave about him when I was really, really a kid. So big up to you, Karen. And also women, they know as much as men about football. They just don't talk about it. So I'm really pleased to know that you about your opinions, particularly in your comments in the podcast. About the starting 11, I reflect. If anybody saw Marco's comments at the end, it kind of very lackadaisical, kind of almost apathetic. Well, we started Cuenca, but he played well against Liverpool and Chelsea, and Sessegnon played well against Liverpool. I'm like, what is coming from? I think one of them, Sahil or Alex, just said, and it was the other one was, who was it? It was Chukwueze, plays so well. But the one thing that's like, you need to have a team that plays together week in, week out.
Yeah.
And not just be shoved. I mean, this was a kind of really abstract team. The goalkeeper I thought played pretty well, but nobody knew him at the back. And how many times Anderson? He's kind of everything there was people who wanted to play but didn't have the chance to play because they've been superseded by somebody. But the other thing that kind of made me crazy was what we talked about. The subs were made so late. Like after the goal was scored, I said, man, he should have done it in the second half.
Yeah.
And I also don't think he gave enough respect to the FA Cup. People like Karen, my brother over here, how much love we give to the FA Cup, and he just gave the importance to it, like putting not a second string team, but a team that's not playing also, because he thought that we could stomp a Southampton. Alex was saying to me yesterday, Southampton is really playing well. I'm like,
they are playing well.
3-0, we're going to win. I was thinking 3-0. And then I saw the team.
No. Yeah, no, definitely. All right, so Hal, you've already said this. So just overall, when you looked at it, it sounds like you were thinking what you've already pretty much have said.
Yeah, definitely second. So sorry, Alex. Lecomte, Castagna, Cuenca. I disagree with you on Sessegnon. I thought he wasn't particularly good against Tottenham. I thought Robinson would be better. Reed
Robinson was bad against West Ham, right?
He was, but it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. But Reed, Kearney,
it didn't work. Reed and Kearney.
Yeah,
but
so
that's 7.
Chelsea,
I can't. They play against Liverpool.
That's 7. That's 7 players that wouldn't normally start on any given day. It was a second string side, but I think the worst part is, and I reiterate this. Doesn't matter. That team should be good enough to beat Southampton.
Right.
But when they haven't played together, there's going to be problems because they're going to take a long while to figure out what they're doing. And that's why I thought, Marco, we're not relegation problems. Looks like Europe is looking at a little bit distant horizon. But anyway, we don't play until next Sunday.
Yep.
Play the first 11. Have them win big time so they go into the city. They go up to the city ground with confidence.
Yeah.
What does he do? He acts like we're Man City. Oh yeah, we're going to play all these, the second stringers, and we don't need to play the first. It was terrible. Now, there was someone in the comments that was saying that, the team didn't look happy. The subs were all really unhappy about what was going on. When I saw that team sheet, I thought, geez, I hope this doesn't go badly for us, because if it does, I was mad on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Karen, I've been going to Fulham since I was a kid, since the early 70s. I feel the pain that you feel about us never winning a trophy. And I really thought this year we could at least we could go further. But this was Marco Silva's fault. This was.
Okay. And like we said, now we're talking about the ugly, and this is the ugly. And Alex, I'll go to you. So when we look at the first half, right, I'm looking at this. And you already mentioned this. We're piling up the corners, right? Even in the first half. And I look at, I think Oscar Bob is going to be great for Fulham. Okay, I truly believe. And as you said about Chukwueze, it's interesting that you really analyze about Chukwueze, because he hasn't really been at it the last couple of matches. Maybe there's something to what you just said, right? So you got them to really not doing enough to really bother Southampton. The most frustrating part, the most worrying part, were the counterattacks, Alex. So when I look at this, because you probably had a good view of some of this, the warning signals were there in that first half. Forget about the dominance. Possession means nothing. The corners usually tell you a story, right? But what really told me the story was they should have scored in the first half. That's what told me the story.
Yeah, absolutely. We did look vulnerable. Again, I mean, that is a concern, right? We had way more possession than them. We had far more shots than them. We had lots more corners than them, but they had the better opportunities in that first half.
Absolutely.
But the sad thing for me is the fact that they missed those opportunities and still got away with beating a Premier League team, I think is really, really, really frustrating, because they didn't put their clear opportunities to bed, and we still somehow managed to contrive to let them win it. I mean, just on the truth is, though, we have had a lot of chopping and changing recently, and not just because of Marco. In terms of so basically, if you remember, we had AFCON. Bassi didn't come straight back into the team because Cuenca had done such a good job. Anderson, I presume, then got injured, and Diop's come in and actually played really, really brilliantly against Spurs, maybe man of the match, and did well against West Ham as well. So suddenly there's a lot. I kind of agree when your brother kind of lists all those players and goes, none of them should be starting. But when you add to the mix that Lukic has been injured, Berger was absolutely abject against West Ham. You've got the issue with the fact that there hasn't been a consistency in the lineups anyway. And right now, there are a lot of places where it's not clear who the first choice is. I think Sessegnon and Robinson is a toss-up. I think our centre-backs, for me, it should be Bassi and Anderson. But at the moment, they seem to be all fighting with each other. With Lukic being out, Berger being useless, suddenly that brings that position. So I get the argument you're making, but I think it isn't quite as simple as that. And I totally agree with you when it comes to players like Iwobi should have started. Bob, I'm a bit concerned about, if I'm honest. I love the way he goes past the player, and I think he's an intelligent footballer, but I'm really fearing he lacks dynamism and that kind of direction, the fast movements towards the ball, and he got pushed off the ball so many times in the second half. Many of their chances came from Bob giving it away in that second half. So I've got my concerns there.
Okay.
He's not going to be a replacement to Wilson, and I hope these last two games have not been a little glimpse into a bleak Wilsonless future for Fulham. That's my big fear.
Okay. All right. Let's now talk about the situation with Rodrigo Muniz. Let's talk about, because you guys were there. Alex, I'll go to you. What were you guys discussing when that happened?
I mean, to me, it's just, I was just fuming. It was insane. I think the players probably did get a sense that the whistle had gone, but just because of their reaction it felt to me like they were more angry that he'd blown than they were that the goal didn't count, if you see what I mean. But to me, it's just madness, and especially where the emphasis now is so much to let the game go, like with offsides and stuff. You just don't blow early. You just see what happens, So to me, a mad piece of refereeing, and following that terrible VAR decision in the week, that those two moments have cost us. And it's not to let Marco off the hook, because it should never come down to these little moments of poor refereeing. But I do think both those moments were unfair, and they've really cost us. Okay.
Over to you, Kamal. What did you make of the first half?
I mean, it's two more bad words which you can't use.
Okay.
So, I don't know. We dominated everything. I was watching it with the idea that we're going to come in and we're going to pile drive and we're going to wallpaper this game. And every time they attacked, and I saw just a lack of originality. The chaos I talk about. I mean, the thing that really is disappointing me is that we don't have really attacking midfielders. We don't have a bully striker. I remember I know he wouldn't have played today because he's a starting guy, but Paulinho, whenever he'd get the ball, he would immediately push forward. We don't have a midfielder that does that now. We don't have an attacking midfielder, an aggressive gangster. We just got, what we had. I didn't think the players were bad. I didn't think the starting lineup was bad. I just thought what my brother thought, which is that don't play players who don't know who to pass to and how to pass. I thought it was clueless. I thought, okay, let's get it up. But the really biggest problem is that they stick to this really naff on the wing strategies, and it's explained by a number of corners. We had corners when we play off the wings, and
huge amount of corners,
and that's because they were playing off the wings and we're getting bounced into corners.
Yeah, and we did nothing with them, as Alex said. We did nothing with them, and it was terrible.
I agree with Alex as well. I don't think Bob had a good game. I think he had a pretty weak game. He lost on a couple of occasions, and but it made me laugh. I think when I saw Marco's and the match summary, he just seemed resigned and like, I'm just going to give the explanation. But I also didn't feel the passion. Where if he had the passion, he would have substituted. Not even a half time. He could have done it in the 30th minute. We had, I don't know who. Rather the man of the match. I hope you're not going to ask us for that.
No, I'm not asking man.
Ask for the worst man of the match.
We're not doing that.
I was disappointed with Chikwueze. I mean,
Chikwueze was not good in this. I can't explain why. Well, actually, Alex maybe shed a little light on it. Maybe, there are certain things he does well in certain situations, the way we're set up. Maybe it doesn't suit him. So maybe Alex is on to something.
Alex, by the way, when Ross said, let's start with the ugly, and then he went straight over to you, he didn't mean anything.
No, I wasn't talking about Alex. Stop it. I'm going to have to gong you again. Over to Suhail. Suhail?
Yeah, first half, I agree with what the other guys have said. I think Leo Cienza is probably sleeping a lot more easily now than he would have been otherwise, because he missed two golden opportunities to put Southampton ahead. I thought one of them had gone in, the one that went just wide. I thought, oh, he scored. And I just thought we were huffed and puffed. We had our chances, don't get me wrong. And I think the Muniz disallowed goal was ridiculous based on the fact that if Southampton had gained an advantage by doing what they had done, I could then see the referee saying, hang on a second, I'm pulling the play back. But the fact that the goalkeeper broke the rules, and he did it for a reason. He was trying to get, could see the Fulham players were sort of jogging back slowly. He tried to get the ball out quickly.
Exactly.
And didn't wait for the referee. And he did that for a purpose. He wanted to catch Fulham sleeping. The mere fact that it hits his own player and then Muniz puts it in the back of the net, that's not something you should be overturning. Sorry, I think it's a terrible, terrible mistake, but we're stuck with it. I just thought Southampton we dominated the play. We probably had more shots, but Southampton had the much more dangerous chances because, and this goes back to what my brother said earlier about predictability.
Yep.
They were pressing us really high. And then when we went forward, they'd clearly been given instructions, play the ball over the top because their players aren't running back. And that's what they did. And that's how we were getting caught. So
over and over again. So
first half, very worrying the first half. Got a lot better in the second, but first half was a very nervy time.
It did get better, guys. And just for time's sake, we're just going to go to pretty much the end, but I'll just give a little analysis of what I watched. So it was pretty obvious in the second half to start off that Marco gave them instructions because they came out with a different purpose to begin the second half for a good portion. But I always felt like in the first half when there were opportunities for Southampton that they would be dangerous. And that's how that all played. It played itself out until the very end. So, like I said, they did not do enough. We have more corners, but it was really the same thing, except that there was more purpose. That's the way I look at it.
Can I just say one thing, Ross? Like you guys didn't see this on the TV, Kamal and Alex, but you probably did, Alex. They went to Marco a couple of times when he was on the bench, and he looked like he was just staring into space.
Yeah,
like he was. Did you see that, Russ? I mean, it was actually
I did.
And it's like he didn't really care what was going on the pitch. It's not. That's what surprised me today, Russ.
He wasn't himself. I would agree with it. That's actually a good point. So
maybe he's got his P45. Who knows?
Right.
You know what that means, P45, Russ?
I don't.
Fulham American. It means you've been given your notice.
The green slip.
Oh okay. Well, maybe I should be given mine. Anyways, let's get to it, guys. Let's get to I will, Alex. I'll go to you. I'm going to give you the I'm not going to say pleasure, the chance to discuss this, because I'm going to set it up this way. So I had a call after the match from Tony Gold asking me who was the player that did this, who was the player. And when I told him it was Anderson, Tony's not a fan of Anderson at all, so you can imagine how he felt. So when you guys saw this, I'm going to tell you right now, I've watched it back a few times. I'm not sure if this is a penalty. I'm thinking to myself, this is a dive. So what did you guys make of this, Alex?
So to me, it looks like there's minimal contact. The thing that I think means that VAR don't overturn it or don't get involved, and the ref gives
clear
it.
And obvious? Is it clear?
Well, no, it's Anderson's reaction. He doesn't seem. He doesn't seem to deny it enough, or he kind of seemed resigned to me. Something about his body language. Okay. I mean, I'd have been going, never touched him, ref, and then made VAR like look properly for. I mean, maybe he knew there was a contact, but I've seen it back as well, and minimal. It doesn't
right?
It looks like there's nothing really in it, no. And but to me, I just think he acted a bit like a guilty man or a resigned man, you know. Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe that's what cost us.
Okay. Come on.
10 times less of a penalty than the one against West Ham, though.
Yeah. Very good. Come on. What did you make of this?
So the penalty, just like 10 minutes before the penalty against us, we had a similar.
Yeah. Oscar Bob.
Oscar Bob.
It was turned down, and it was very similar. Yeah. But in my heart of hearts, I know I kind of felt the referee knows it's a televised audience. We don't get all of them. And this is the drama of the FA Cup. The BBC hype it up. ITV, the drama, the little teams come. And he thought, okay, let's give them what they want. Yeah. And then it kind of, and it also, like Anderson kind of did it. He should have made a bit more of, he did again, he did deny it, but you could really push what happened there. Yeah. And when it happened, but part of it also, I hate to say this, I was so frustrated with Fulham. I'm like, damn, can I deal with another half hour of this kind of play?
Well, I was thinking that too, but honestly, I wanted them to go through. So yes, the answer is yes. Come on.
I really wanted the extra time because I felt like as the extra time was coming, I felt like I can see a goal that Southampton nicking a goal here. And the problem is, if you get 30 more minutes, you're like, all right, we'll have time to respond. But the closer it gets down to that 90-minute mark, you're like, they're going to nick something, and that we're not going to have time to do anything about it. And that was my fear. And sure enough,
did you notice how our best spell in the game was the last 270 seconds of the game?
Well, that not enough time, my friend. All right, Suhail, what did you make of this? Like I said, when I saw the replay, I thought this isn't a penalty.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. It was less of a penalty than the Oscar Bob one, which they didn't even talk about. But
they didn't even discuss it.
Yeah, and I think Alex might have a point, because the commentators we had, they said the same thing. They said they thought it was a clear penalty. Clear penalty. And then they said something along the lines of, look at Anderson. He knows it's a penalty. So it may well be that Alex is right. The VAR didn't get involved because the players didn't all go up in arms, or Anderson didn't go up in arms. When I saw the replay, I didn't even see the contact. Or if it was minimal.
I would recommend everyone watching it back. Yeah. It's not going to change the result. Watch it back, and if you watch it back, you're probably going to agree with me that it shouldn't have been a penalty. And I said it at the time when I'm like, this isn't a penalty. This is going to get overturned. And it didn't. And I'm thinking, why did this not? And it might go back to what Alex said. It's very interesting. All right. So Suhail, quickly, I'll go to you. The one thing at the very end, I think it was Anderson again trying to win a penalty for Fulham, but come on.
It was not. There was, it was like desperation time, and it was just one of these things where you were resigned to basically. We were going out at that point once they scored the penalty, and it was it was in added time. The penalty, people forget that. We were out, and whatever happened, I think there's something to be said as well from what Kamal says, that it's in the broadcaster's interest to have this little upset take place. They sort of.
Well, he is a filmmaker. He might be onto something.
That said, if you watched Chelsea Wrexham the night before, I mean, my God, they were desperate for Chelsea to win that, were they? Unbelievable. Wrexham should have had 2 penalties.
Yeah.
And they the red
Alex, they did everything in their power to give it to Chelsea. And I watched that match. So actually, Kamal might be onto something because the Wrexham story is good, but it's bigger over here than it is for you guys. Like I said, it's huge over here. And I'm telling you,
that's my second big point in the show today. That and the Andres Pereira point.
Oh, again, if I hear you say Pereira one more time, I am gonna go on you. I don't want. All right, guys, we do have to wrap up the show. I want to give final thoughts for this weekend. We'll call it This Week in Fulham. Alex, how are you feeling overall?
Shocking. It's the worst week of the season for me. I feel very bleak about everything. And if we don't beat Forest next week, I think we're drifting towards like a 13th, 14th place finish. And it's just going to be another season. And, and then you've got to start really thinking about a proper summer rebuild, which is really quite sad, because if you'd asked me last Sunday, I'd have been feeling extremely positive about the whole season ahead.
Okay. I'm not giving up hope yet. I will hang in there. How about you, Kamal? How you feeling?
Well, I was pretty angry. I spoke to Alex about it immediately after. I said, this is just makes me want to vomit. So what happened today? But then like 3 hours later, I thought, man, I was supposed to be doing like three matches for us today. So I went through my notes, I was building my notes. And then the one thing occurred to me: we have a brilliant academy. I also think we need to dump three or four players. And, I was, like Morgan Gibbs-White, didn't come to us. We never made, like Conor Gallagher. These are like attacking midfielders. We just need like a few players that will change the focus of the team. And I think I hate to say this, even though I was super angry, Marco has done well getting us a team that plays like this, but it is schizophrenic, it's Jekyll and Hyde. And I think we're going to see, if Marco's off in the summer, we're going to see a change of track from him in the next few weeks. And I think, look, I hope my Fulham brothers and sisters, that we've got some really exciting Russian roulette football to look at in the next few weeks.
Okay, we have a comment from Tony Gold. Evening, gents. Great to see so many Fulham legends. Hope the smooth isn't feeling too rough. Karen, if you are still here, so sorry for today's performance. So Tony is chiming in. Thank you, Tony, for joining us at the very end. All right, Suhail, you're the judge. You get the final word.
You know what? I feel a lot better after doing this show. It's very therapeutic. Yeah, very therapeutic to the smooth is a little bit smoother again.
How much do you charge an hour, Russ? How much do you charge an hour for your therapy?
I have to start considering that. Okay.
But you know what? I do. I feel a lot better. And as I say, the smooth is feeling a bit smoother after this hour or so. The one thing I'll say is, look, I think this season's gone down the toilet. I really do. And I know you're not giving up on Europe, but I don't think we're going to get there.
I'm not.
But the one thing I'll say is that there was a comment, a very lengthy sort of question about who we should buy in the summer, etc. The one thing I'll say is, some of the signings we've made so far do fill me with some hope. Oscar Bob, Kevin, Chukwueze. There's a foundation here, and I think let's see what happens in the summer. Marco's heading off. Let's just see if we get Ricardo Pepe. This time next year, we may be doing a Cottage talk where we're all talking about the semi-finals, and I think we have to keep it all in perspective. I'm not feeling great today, but we'll get through, and I'm hoping that when I get to Nottingham next week, at least the journey up there will be worth a win. At least
I hope so. No. I hope so. And the comment, it was just so long, Steve. I'm sorry. We'll definitely tackle all this on Cottage Talk. It's just that today's show was really about these three matches. Great question. I just want to mention, unfortunately, we just don't have the time to get into it. But guys, I want to thank the three of you for joining me. Alex, as always, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to say this right now. I miss Matt. I'm going to say it right now. I miss Matt.
No, pleasure to be here as ever, Russ. We all miss Matt. He's been very sadly off to Rome to watch England lose at rugby. So he's probably had
he had a worse weekend than us.
So who's worse off, us or him? Probably him.
I think he's had an even worse weekend. Yeah.
Wow, that's not good.
Hey, Russ.
Yes.
Did you see that last comment? Great win for the women, though, huh?
I did.
Yeah. Let's not. Come on. Let's pick it up.
Okay.
I feel like I'm with the Three Stooges or the Addams Family. Come
No,
on.
you're not with the Three Stooges.
Let's pick it up.
Okay.
I'm Lurch.
Okay. So, Hal, as always, you get the final word, as I said.
No, great to see everyone again. It really has. I really do mean it. You feel alive. It sort of takes a weight off the shoulders to speak with three other eminent advocates and professors of the Cottage. I enjoyed it today, and again, what I'll be doing is I'll try and filling up that glass again so it's full, half full.
Good.
On the next occasion,
because I'm not giving up hope. I understand where Alex is going on this. I'm not giving up hope yet. And I saw it right after the match. Season's over. Season's not over yet. It's not over until I say it's over. It's not over yet. All right, and that's going to do it for this episode. And I love doing the show with the guys from the Hammersmith end. It's always fun. And then again, we have Suhail helping us out with Matt not being around, but we will be back with another episode soon. So for Kamal, Alex, and Suhail, I'm Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.